Okay, so moms, here are a few tips that you need to know about being in an overtrained, to tell if you're in an overtrained state, and to help you actually stay out of it. So, and again, overtraining is a very broad term for not recovering well, an extra, like constant fight or flight state, which is basically your body in this chronic stress state, which you might feel like, well, isn't that normal being a mom? Well, it's common, but it's definitely not normal. Our bodies aren't designed to be in this chronic fight or flight stress state, even as a new parent. So there's 3 points. We're going to talk about morning heart rate, warm up and cool down, and sleep is the real number one. So the first one, morning heart rate. So what you want to do is start to check your heart rate every morning for about 3 weeks. So the moment you wake up, check your pulse. You can do it with 2 fingers on your wrist, on the thumb side of your wrist, or on your neck. So men have an Adam's apple, women don't. So you're going to find the pulse in your neck, and you're going to hold it there, and you're going to watch a clock for 10 seconds. But while you're watching the clock for 10 seconds, you're going to count your pulse. After you get your pulse, write it down, and then times it by 6. And that is your resting heart rate in the morning. So you're going to want to do that for 3 weeks just to get a baseline of what your resting heart rate is first thing when you first wake up. And it's going to fluctuate, 3 to 4 beats per minute typically. But what you want to be mindful of is if you see a spike so let's say your morning heart rate is around, the average is 60 beats per minute. So if your heart rate spikes 7 beats per minute more than 60, so if it becomes 67 or more, then that's a sign, especially for a couple days, that's a sign that your body is in a fatigued state. It's not recovering well. So you might be asking yourself, well, what if I'm in an overtrained state now? So most likely, so that's why we do it for 3 weeks, right? We want to test our heart rate for 3 weeks. And if your heart rate is all over the place, like one morning at 60, one morning at 70, one morning at 60, one morning at 75, then that means that you're in an extra fatigue state too. If it's constantly fluctuating more than 7 beats per minute each day or every few days, yes, you are in an extra fatigue state, overtrained state. So the other component is if you see a constant rise of heart rate over beats per minute every morning. So let's say you start at 60 beats per minute. That's your average. But then it starts to increase gradually 4, 5, 6, 7 over time. So every day there's like a gradual increase of 1 or 2. That also indicates that you're getting into this extra fatigued chronic stress state, right? So if you see a lot of fluctuation, more than 7 beats per minute, around 7 beats per minute or more, if you see a jump in heart rate 7 beats per minute or more, or if you see this constant rise of beats per minute, that is an indicator that you are in this overtrained state. Now, if you see your heart rate decreasing slowly, that actually means you are getting fitter. Now, as a mom, if you're someone that's like, well, yeah, I feel my heart rate is decreasing, but I feel like crap every day, then why do you feel like crap? Where do you feel like crap? Right? There's lots of things that go into that, like eating, sleeping, all that stuff, which we're gonna talk about the sleeping piece. But the body tissue piece, the self-care that you do on your soft tissue, the self-care that you do on your joints is also important. But at least start doing the morning heart rate, checking it for 3 weeks. And if you find there's a really big fluctuation, keep checking it, right? And give yourself a rest. And I'm going to give you some tips in this next video on how to rest well. But the key is you want that average of heart rate in the morning to be within 3-4 beats per minute. You don't want it to fluctuate a ton. So therefore you'll know that you're in a less chronic stress state. So with that, go ahead and do your homework. We're watching you. Tell us how you do.